Welcome back to Next Gen Investing. It's now time to talk Palantir, as this name has been in the headlines pretty much every day, but we're finally talking about it for FOMO.
What does Trump, nuclear reactors, and a 500% stock surge have in common? Check this video out.
Here is Marley Caden, contributor for the network. And so, Marley, we start things off with Palantir, as this name is up 1.7%. So it's not like it's ripping by any means, but what is the most impressive to me is this is a name that's now up 88% this year. I mean, what pullback? You can hardly see it.
It's wild. I mean, they're doing so well. And today's news, like you said, they're in the headlines all the time. Today's news, they're teaming up with the nuclear company to develop a new AI-driven real-time software platform that is going to streamline nuclear reactor construction. That's their goal. They say that it will help them build plants faster and safer with fewer delays and lower costs. So they're aiming to transform the construction of nuclear reactors by boosting efficiency. They say it will help with schedule certainty, preventing errors, and streamlining regulatory compliance through real-time data, predictive analytics, and AI-powered automation. Now, this will be led by a joint engineering team, and the nuclear company's staff will unify the construction data and operate with the software alongside the software. So a true partnership here. And obviously, this is in response to President Trump's recent executive orders, calling for 400 gigawatts of nuclear capacity by 2050, targeting 10 large-scale reactors under construction by 2030. So if Palantir and the nuclear company are right, Mike Gallagher said earlier today that this software could reshape the U.S. energy infrastructure. That is Palantir's goal in this partnership. And the nuclear company, obviously their focus on the other side, said that this could end the chronic delays and help the United States keep pace with China, which currently leads the U.S. in nuclear plant capacity. So huge headline for them today.
So let me ask this. How often do you see a tech company not just dabbling, but leading in nuclear construction software? This isn't a headline you expect from Silicon Valley. We're not talking about a flashy app or a new messaging platform. We're talking about real-world impact, nuclear reactors, timelines, safety, regulatory compliance. That's infrastructure, and it's national. Palantir isn't just building tools. They're stepping into roles that used to belong to government contractors and defense giants. And think about that shift. Is this the moment where Palantir stops being underestimated and starts being seen for what it truly is? A national infrastructure backbone? Because when you're streamlining reactor construction, reducing delays, and bringing predictive analytics into the heart of the energy grid, that's not just software. That's strategic capability, the kind a country needs to stay competitive. And here's the wild part. We're still early. If this partnership works, it won't just reshape energy. It could redefine how America builds anything big, from plants to ports. That's a mission worth paying attention to.
Especially because, so since Trump took office, Palantir has now secured more than $113 million in contracts, which does not include almost $800 million from the Department of Defense.
Yes.
And so there was like 3 earnings reports ago where they were growing their commercial side of their business, which actually is still growing, yes. But I think this was one of the most unforeseen winners of the Trump administration. I mean, we were so concerned about the fluctuations right now of government funding for a company as exposed still as Palantir is. And this has ended up being, like the greatest tailwind that I don't really feel like the market saw coming to this extent.
Well, it's really interesting because you mentioned the defense contract. So they have different silos under Palantir. There's different groups. So this one will be under Foundry, which is the one they do with their corporate clients, their corporate customers. So this NOS, it's called NOS, N-O-S is what they're calling this new software platform, will be underneath Foundry, which is not related to where all of their Department of Defense contracts are. All the same company, but they just have 3 different silos. They keep all the businesses separate. And this is the one that's playing catch up the most. So we could start to see that more corporate client commercial business really driving forward, potentially with the creation of this partnership if it's effective.
This wasn't just good timing. This was strategic foresight. While other companies waited around for policy stability or tried to predict election outcomes, Palantir embedded itself directly into the machinery of both national defense and corporate infrastructure. That's a rare position. One foot in the command center, the other in the boardroom, and now we're seeing the fruits of that vision. NOS, housed under Foundry instead of their defense-focused Gotham, shows this isn't just a defense play, it's a commercial playbook, built to scale, a long-term architecture that can operate under changing administrations, shifting budgets, or volatile headlines. That's what makes Palantir different. They're not reactive, they build systems to withstand fluctuation, not just survive it. And here's the real power. By separating those silos, they future-proofed their growth. One part of the company can be chasing Pentagon contracts, while another helps Fortune 100s build reactors and infrastructure with predictive software. That's not just diversification, that's resilience by design. In a world where most tech firms are fragile to political shifts, Palantir is structured to endure.
Okay, that's such a good point. You're right, because I think that is. I mean, like, we look at so many of these massive tech companies, and it's like there's the area of the business that's driving all of these streets enthusiasm, and as well as like the price, and then there's still so many legacy businesses that aren't. Like, for example, Nvidia has made improvements in like its gaming unit, but we're still seeing that lag. I mean, of course, like everything that is data center. So I think encouraging that the lagging portion of their overall growth story seemingly has done quite well, and right now in an environment that has been very unfavorable for like the solar stocks, some of these alternative energy sources. Nuclear, well, a bit frightening to me.
It does not apply to nuclear. So Palantir in 2024, most of their gain came after the presidential election and President Trump's win. They gained 340% just in 2024. In the past year, they're up 502% as of right now.
Yeah, that is ridiculous. And I think, again, the fundamental story has shaped so much of that, because for so long, this name was going parabolic, and it was like there was somewhat of a disconnect with like its overall financial profile. But I feel like seeing that improve and seeing them really at the forefront of a lot of these massive AI deals has been quite astounding. So, I mean, I can imagine the street now a bit more favorable on Palantir.
Absolutely. I mean, only up 1.6% right now, so not quite as high a bump as I expected. But I think the run-up has been so big since the signing of those executive orders that it's hard to see any sort of major jumps until we see some major progress here. I think once there's installation of the software, or successful testing of the software, we'll probably see another bump come through.
Yeah, and I think this will be a fun one to watch, as it's always on our radar, but we had taken a pause from our daily coverage of Palantir, bringing it back today with a really astounding move over like the last 12 months, also making a nice move on the year, of course. We appreciate it, Marley Caden, for all of that insight.
This is what happens when the fundamentals finally catch up to the narrative. For years, Palantir was treated like a speculative ticker, more noise than substance, but that's changed. The AI partnerships are real. The Foundry platform is landing deals in sectors that actually move the world forward, not just trend online. A 500% gain in a year isn't just a rally, it's a reckoning. It's the market waking up to the fact that this company isn't just defending the West, it's helping build it. Energy, defense, data. Palantir is no longer chasing the future, it's anchoring it. And yeah, the stock might not pop every time there's a new contract, but the real bump, that will come when this software hits the field, gets tested, and proves it can actually accelerate critical infrastructure. When that happens, we're not just watching a stock story anymore, we're witnessing Palantir become the operating system for the next American century.